What is going on, diehards, degenerates, gamblers? Welcome to the best damn UFC betting show of the week, the Undefeated post-weigh-in show right here at Pub Sports Radio. Lines are powered by Superbook Sports. I'm your guy, Clinton. I cannot wait for UFC 286 tomorrow. We got mimosas and waffles, baby. It's UFC London. We're going to be waking up bright and early, people punching each other and bleeding before I got my pants on. I'm all about it. I cannot wait. Hope everybody is doing well today. Good luck on your brackets and your degenerate gambling on college basketball, because I'm getting my ass kicked. This is why I don't bet college basketball. Every single upset seems to catch me. I did get Xavier live, though, when they were down by like 6, and I got them at even money coming on their way back up. So little win for the good guys there. Let's get straight on into this fight card, because we have got a lot to talk about. If it's your first time watching the show, first off, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hit the like button while you're here and subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to go back over this card. We already broke it down Monday. My guy, Lucrative MMA, joined us, one of the sharpest minds in the MMA gambling scene. So check that out if you want the full in-depth breakdown. But we're going to take our initial reads on these fights and everything we've learned throughout the week, as well as staring at these fighters through a microscope as they step on the scales and looking for any sign of weakness, a bad weight cut, a lost balance type of situation, or maybe see who's got the mental edge in the face-offs. We look for all the little tidbits of information. We pile them into our cauldron, and then we try to come out with a winning wager for you. We call it the Undefeated post-weigh-in show for a reason, because there's never been a wrong read or a bad bet made on this show. Let's get right on into it. First fight of the night, Victoria Hardy taking on Juliana Miller. Both women made 125 pounds. And can I just start by saying, I hate Dan Hardy. With a fiery passion, I hate Dan Hardy, because I was absolutely the number one simp for Veronica Macedo. She is no longer Veronica Macedo. She's now Veronica Hardy. So screw you, Dan Hardy. All right. She looked fantastic on the scales today. Calm, cool, collected. She's in her proper weight class. She actually looks in great shape, if I do say so myself. Juliana Miller, really tall and lanky, awkward frame on this girl, but she looked like she was in incredible shape as well. Like, usually when you get these really lanky women, there's no musculature whatsoever. She actually had some definition in some spots. You love to see it. Juliana Miller was really playing it up to the crowd in this spot. I mean, like, I'm a little worried she's looking past Hardy in this spot. The way she's having fun, blowing kisses, already set up her OnlyFans. Like, she seems like she's just way too into herself at this point. There is a height advantage for Miller, but I'll be honest with you guys, not as pronounced as expected, because she's a giant for this weight class. I really thought she would just tower over Veronica Hardy, but Hardy, again, is much better suited to this weight class than 135. So I was a little bit surprised that it's not as bad as I thought. This is a crazy wide line to me. Juliana Miller is minus 400 plus 330 on Veronica Hardy. And for someone who is 3-1 as a professional, like, Veronica's got 11 fights under her belt. She's fought the likes of KGB when she was in her prime. Like, there's a huge level gap here, in my opinion. And even though Miller might be somebody who's got a higher ceiling moving forward, shit, she might have a higher ceiling now. I just am not ready to trust a 4-fight professional fighter here in this spot against somebody who I know actually has a half-decent skill set. You've heard a lot of people on a lot of shows this week just really shitting on Veronica Hardy and what she brings to the table. But actually, I don't think she's bad. I think she was aggressive and young and unbridled and didn't have a coach to rein her in. And now she's synced up with Dan Hardy, who is legitimately one of the best minds in the game. I think it couldn't be a better situation for her to rein it in. If she's ever going to beat somebody, it's going to be someone like Juliana Miller, who's not very good on the feet, really relies on being a size bully on the ground to get it done. And I've seen Veronica Hardy scramble out of bad situations, and take opportunistic submissions or work her way back up to the feet. Like, she's got cardio for 15 straight minutes. People talk about how she gassed out at 135. Yeah, that was after multiple concussions up a weight class against one of the biggest girls in the division. Like, of course she's going to gas out. So I don't know. I'm very, very tempted on pulling just an absolute degenerate bet on Veronica Hardy here in this spot. I wouldn't suggest anybody necessarily tail me, especially on one like this when you're taking a concussed girl coming back off of a 3-year layoff, but I might fucking do it. We've also got the under 2.5, which I find interesting, minus 120 on the under 2.5, because if Miller does win this fight, I mean, she probably mounts Hardy and pounds her into the dust, right? The other hot take I've got for you is Veronica Hardy by sub. Looking over at Superbook Sports, it's 15-1 for Veronica Hardy to win by submission. She's got a legitimate BJJ black belt on her. And like I said, Juliana Miller, she likes to take these fights to the ground. She wants to get on top of you. She wants to ground and pound you. She wants to play jujitsu. Man, she's been Darce choked before in her professional career. Not something that happens very often. I guess that was a grappling match, but you get my point. She's a grappler first. And if we're going to engage in grappling, give me the snatchiest, armbarist girl in the division at 15-1. Absolutely love that for a sprinkle. Brian, shout out to you, my friend. This is my Yotes jersey. I got to rock it because they are looking good right now. If you've been on the Yotes train with me, we just keep piling up plus money bets on the Coyotes. I was too scared to bet them against the Canucks last night, but rooted my ass off for them, and it was fun to see us get another win. This team is going to be a lot better than people give us credit for here in a couple years. Anyway, we'll shelve the hockey talk for now. Second fight of the night, Herbert taking on Ľudovít Klein. By the way, not to I need some wood here for a second, because not to jinx it or anything like that, but I was shocked we didn't lose a fight coming into the weigh-ins today. Now, fights aren't here yet, so there's always a chance one drops off by tomorrow. But the fact that we've got a 15-fight card, we always lose one or two. Always. So the fact that we made it through weigh-ins gives me some hope here. Herbert, 156. Ľudovít Klein matching 156. looked good. Eyes are sunken in a little bit, but he's another one of these tall, lanky guys. The weight cut is hard. My guy Liam picks fights weighing in at 156. Seriously, Ľudovít Klein looks exactly like Liam on steroids. You love it. You love to see it. Massive flex. This guy reminds me of a shorter version of Techno Viking. This guy's fantastic. Very respectful face-off. Jai's obviously taller. Klein is thicker. Those are, this is the one that just doesn't surprise you, right? Like, this is the one where everything lines up with what we've seen and what we've thought coming into the week. I like Ľudovít Klein here in this spot. I've been primarily a Herbert hater in the past. That's kind of just been my role. I want to fade that chin of his. And I think Ľudovít Klein is a guy that's got the skills, the tools, the ability. He can probably out-grapple Herbert with those long, spindly legs. And if he lands that head kick, if he lands some of those big power punches, if he can close the distance, I think he can land the knockout. He's got that kind of power. I'm not blind to the fact that Herbert can maybe buy time up against the fence. He can keep the fight at range and strike long and work his way to a decision. But we've seen what happens when he gets bonked like just once by a power puncher. And I think that Klein over 15 minutes probably can find that power shot. I don't like minus 185 though. This is one of those spots where, guys, I'm trying to be a more intelligent bettor. The line speaks to everything when it comes to betting. The good bettors get good line value on everything. I don't like minus 185. If you were giving me minus 140 maybe on Klein, something a little shorter, I'd probably take it. But minus 185 and higher, minus 200, minus 190, it's out of my price range. I'll pick him to win. I don't think I'm betting this fight. Next up, Luana Carolina taking on JoJo Wood, 126 pounds apiece. Carolina needed the box of shame, which, by the way, if I could just get the Die Hard logo on the box of shame, I'd have got my damn money's worth today. They were up there using that thing left and right today. It would have been glorious to have my brand on it. JoJo Wood, she looked rough on the scales, folks. Now, Luana Carolina needed the box of shame, but she threw up a big old smile and hit us with the Wakanda Forever. I still need to see the new Black Panther movie. Obviously didn't have much of an issue. Felt totally comfortable. And JoJo Wood, on the other hand, looked sucked out. She looked rough, man. And I know nobody's having a good day on weigh-ins, but she looked like she was in trouble up there. Just blank stare, nobody home. And then when they go to the face-offs, it was intense, man. JoJo wrapped up her fist and stepped in forehead to forehead with Carolina. This was not the fight that I expected fireworks at the face-offs from. It really wasn't. So JoJo coming in hot and heavy here in this spot. I actually think there's an opportunity for a degenerate under here in this spot. We got a 2.5 total. Over is minus 320. Under is plus 260. Both these women have had their struggles on the ground. JoJo especially. 3 of her last 4 losses. by sub. I think Luana Carolina is the younger, hungrier, improving fighter, whereas JoJo had a ceiling that Carolina may never get to, but she's obviously on the decline. And frankly, guys, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if JoJo hung the gloves up after this fight. She's already well on record talking about only having a year or two left in the fight game and stuff like that, which very much concerns me. I'm never betting on a retiring fighter, ever, ever, ever. They got one foot in the grave. When it gets tough, when they get hurt, they just don't push through the way that they would if they still had a future ahead of them. They know their time is coming, and they find their way to the door that much quicker in that circumstance. I love JoJo Wood. I've been in love with her since she made her UFC debut. She's my girl. I think it's dog or pass here for me. I would only ever bet on Carolina in this spot. And it's one of those spots where, like I said, the skill side of things is all on Wood. We're timing whether or not she's fallen off the cliff. We're timing whether or not she's ready to hang them up, because that's what makes the difference here in this spot. Not the skill necessarily, unless Carolina has caught her and she's done it off tape, because we haven't seen it. Shout out to the chat. We've got my guy, the sports Keg. Guys, make sure you follow Keg. He's on Twitter. He's a complete badass, the sharpest single sports betting mind that I know, and he makes me piles of money every single weekend in NASCAR. If I have a bad week betting on, NHL and MMA, Keg bails me out on Sundays with NASCAR every week. It's like clockwork. So make sure you go check him out. He is awesome. Jimmy saying, yeah, Wood looked hurt, and she did. She absolutely did. Glad you agree with me here on the take. Carolina did look a little bit rough on the curtain, but that kind of all went away once she stepped off the scale, though. It seemed like she didn't know if she was going to make weight. As soon as she got it called, though, she had that smile slapped across her face. So definitely, I think Wood looked worse of the two when it comes to who was on the scale. All right, everybody, next fight up, Malcolm Gordon taking on Jake Hadley. Gordon, the one and only victim of the weight miss today. He did still try the box of shame, 129.5. He missed by 3.5 pounds today. Jake Hadley, 126, needed that extra pound allowance, but he got it done. He also did need the box of shame. Both these guys went up there. Gordon, though, geez, this guy, it's his bone structure, dude. Those cheeks, when he gets sucked out, these things look like they're out here. It's incredible. Jake Hadley, on the other hand, absolutely shredded. I mean, this guy doesn't he's in serious shape. Didn't look too uncomfortable. He was kind of feeling himself, flexing a couple extra times on the stage. So even though he had the box out, I don't think it was like a close to miss type of situation. I feel like he just timed it and needed that extra little bit. Just skate on by, get your weight read off, and get to the fight. This was a very good face-off. Hadley is slightly bigger everywhere, like shoulders, frame, head. Like, he's just the slightly larger man. Malcolm, on the other hand, this guy's got that unhealthy belief in himself. For being a guy that's been finished in every single one of his professional losses, he refused to walk away. He was staring down Jake Hadley in this spot. He truly believes he's going to step in here and get a win on Saturday. God bless him. I've got inside the distance on Jake Hadley, and frankly, after seeing Malcolm Gordon miss weight, I think I might double up on that play. Just because I've already thought that Hadley was going to have everything he needed to finish Malcolm Gordon. We saw Malcolm give up that sub deep into round 3 in his last fight, found a way to lose it still. The fact that he only ever loses by finish, I'm not thinking Jake Hadley's going to be the one guy to take him a full 15. And frankly, Jake Hadley's a much slicker striker than Mokaev is. His boxing is solid. He hits hard. And that's been the weakness for Gordon, has really been his chin. He's not a guy that gets submitted very often. I think Hadley can do that, but I think Jake Hadley's going to knock him out. I also have the knockout prop at plus 225 from earlier in the week. I like that spot, and I've already got 2 units on it. Hadley inside the distance, Hadley by KO. I'm probably going to add another shot on Hadley inside the distance, just double up on that spot, so I profit if he hits the sub instead of just breaking even. Lerone Murphy taking on Gabriel Santos, 145.5 for both fighters. Murphy shredded. Oh my God. This, I don't know how this guy makes weight. No, you could go up and pinch his skin, and I'm not convinced you could pull skin away from his muscle. That's how shredded this man is coming into this fight. Now, Gabriel Santos, big flex and smile for a short notice replacement. He had no problems making weight. He was happy. He's got a huge frame up there. He looked great. And Santos was amped up, folks. I could not believe what I was seeing when we were doing the ceremonial weigh-ins. They zoomed back so you could still see Gabriel Santos, and he's crouching like a freaking gorilla, swinging his arms, shaking himself out. He is so intense coming into this fight. And this was a crazy intense face-off. Murphy met him in the middle, came in, got close. This is gonna be a good fight. I mean, Murphy's got that freakish athleticism. I think he can end the fight pretty much anywhere he wants to against pretty much anybody. Gabriel Santos, he's slightly smaller than Lerone Murphy. I actually thought he was gonna have a size advantage here coming into this one, just based off the numbers and my research. This is why we always watch the weigh-ins. This is why you need to see with your own two eyes that last little bit of information, because Murphy being the larger body of the two actually brings me kind of back around onto his side. Now, I know size is not everything, right? Like, it comes down to skill, but sometimes you do get these fighters that are just able to overpower their opponents. They're just bigger. They're just stronger. They can bully you in the cage. And if that happens, you're in trouble, even if you're the more skilled of the two. We've seen Murphy struggle with takedown defense. He can get back up, but he's had a real hard time with getting taken down, especially if Santos was the bigger, stronger of the two men. I think that would be an avenue to victory for him, and it still might be. But considering Lerone Murphy is so freaking strong and he's larger, it kind of makes me think that that's less of an option for Gabriel Santos. I'm not going to bet this fight. I'm picking Lerone Murphy. I kind of considered maybe taking a stab on the dog here earlier in the week, but I'm just going to go ahead and let this one slide by. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to cheer my ass off for Lerone Murphy. I'm a fan of his. I want to see him get the win. And if I had to make a pick as far as a bet goes, I will be picking Murphy. And these guys are both undefeated. We've never seen what it looks like for Gabriel Santos to lose. I'm going to say decision. This could be a very violent fight. Like, Murphy could knock this guy out. Maybe Gabriel's better on the ground than we're giving him credit for, and he subs Murphy. But like, I think this is a 15-minute war that these guys go through. Maybe a round 3 finish or something like that when the short notice starts to settle in and Gabriel doesn't have the cardio he's used to. But I think Lerone Murphy by decision is going to be the way I'm going to pick it here. Next up, Rafael Filho taking on Muhammad Mokaev. Filho made 125.5. Mokaev 126. Filho rocking the sunglasses, which you know is a big no-no here for me. That guy's got a chin on him. I mean, like, dear God, he's going to put somebody's eye out with that thing. Mokaev needed the box of shame. Very confident looking, no issues, smiling and waving to the crowd. This kid is feeling himself. He's the next big deal. He knows he's the next big thing too. These guys size up really well. Muhammad Mokaev was playing around, very respectful face off. They're bouncing around up on their getting for the around each other. A good feel type of spot here. I do have one unit by sub. I've seen Filho like leave his neck hanging out there a little too much for my liking, and someone like Mokaev will snatch that neck. We've seen it before. I think it's Mokaev by sub or decision, but I wanted that plus money, so I took plus 110 the shot on the submission. See if he runs it back for that. There's some rumors running around about Mokaev having a shoulder injury, and maybe he's taking the fight to pay for it before he takes a break. All that kind of stuff. I'm a little worried about that, especially after, what happened with TJ Dillashaw, my last shoulder run-in situation. I'm a little scared that Mokaev has a shoulder bust that's going to ruin my night, which is why I'm only playing one unit on the sub, and that's it, because I can't trust this guy as far as I can throw him at this point. But I think this is a step down in competition and somebody he should just maul on the ground like he does pretty much everybody else. Nanya, what's going on, my friend? Appreciate you coming and hanging out. Chargers got Kendricks. Ooh, interesting. I didn't see that's where Kendricks landed. Good to know. I love all the NFL trade shit that's going on right now. It's way too fun. I'm taking way too much time up paying attention to all the NFL trades going on right now. Yanal Ashmoz taking on Sam Patterson. We've got Yanal coming in at 155, Patterson 155.5. And Ashmoz gave a big old flex. This guy's a Viking. He's got a fiery red beard. You love to see it. Very intense looking human being. You've got Sam Patterson, no issues at all. Very confident in himself, relaxed, smirking up there on the scales. This guy's huge. Absolutely huge. He's a full head taller than Ashmoz. And that does kind of concern me because I did bet on Ashmoz. I've got one unit on him at plus 340. I'm sorry, plus 240. That number has come down just ever so slightly. So I feel good about getting, the best of the number, but it's not like I beat it like a mile, and I beat the Dumas line by a mile. We saw how that turned out. So I'm kind of hoping that Yanal Ashmoz makes this a close fight. That's really all I'm looking for here, because getting that plus 240, it's basically a value bet here for me. Sam Patterson, I'm not overly impressed with him. His chokes are nasty and dangerous, and he can absolutely tap anybody out with a ninja choke if he gets around your neck. But Yanal doesn't have a neck, so I don't know that he's going to get caught in that position. And he's just a relentless forward pressure grappler. I don't think he's going to have much success at range, but I think he's going to stick to Sam Patterson like glue and just pin him up against the cage, trip him, drag him to the ground. If he can't drag him to the ground, he'll grind him against the fence. I'm looking for Yanal Ashmoz to make this fight dirty. And if he can make it dirty, I think he wins. So I'll take the plus 240. I've already got that ticket locked up. Not going to be one bit surprised if Patterson is just the goods and comes out and like cracks this guy with a head kick or chokes him out or something. Not going to be surprised one bit, but we don't know that yet. Neither of these guys have been tested at this level, and I think that Ashmoz is better than people are giving him credit for. Next up, Chris Duncan taking on Omar Morales. Both guys made 156 pounds. Duncan, blank face up there. No issues, but moved well enough. I'm not too worried about him. We've got Omar Morales, who looked much healthier at 155, looked much more filled out. His body is way more suited to this weight class. Duncan went full bear Jew. When they went to the ceremonial weigh-ins, he's got the blue face paint and everything. The crowd absolutely ate it up. Duncan, the slightly larger man all the way around. And this is another one where I've been bouncing back and forth all week. I kind of leaned to Omar Morales. He's the minus 115 favorite. This line has been ping-ponging back and forth basically all week. I don't trust Duncan. I don't think he's got a very good chin. I don't think he's a very good fighter. He doesn't move his freaking head. So he's there to be hit, and he's in a gunfight in every single fight he's ever in. Omar Morales is by far the better fighter, but I think he's shot. You know, his last couple fights, he's taken so much damage, bouncing around weight classes. He doesn't have the volume that he used to bring to the table. It seems like he's just deteriorating. He's not the same guy anymore. And that's where I'm like, I can't bet a coin flip on a guy who maybe hangs it up with one more knockout loss. And I also am never betting on Chris Duncan. Maybe Chris Duncan wins by knockout because that's kind of just what he does. But if he doesn't win by knockout, he's in a 15-minute kickboxing match with a guy who's technically speaking much better than he is. I don't need to flip this coin, folks. I think there's better spots on this card than flipping this coin. And there's everybody and their mother who has a very intense side on this fight. Everybody's very convicted on this fight. And that's where it's a pick 'em. It's a legitimate pick 'em. You can argue intelligently for either side of this fight, and because of that, I don't need to get involved because I don't want to lose a coin flip and realize the other narrative was the right one. Because skill for skill, we know Morales is better, but Duncan may just be the younger, fresher, brute force type of fighter that can get the win here, and you're not getting a deal on him being the lesser skilled fighter. You're not getting a plus 150 or a plus 160 or anything like that. You want to take the knockout? That sounds okay to me. You want to take the knockout prop on Duncan? That's plus 210. Go for it. That sounds much more appropriate to me if you're going to play that side. Next up, we got Makwan Amirkhani, 146. Also, Jack Shore, 146. These guys weighed in the exact same. Makwan needed the box of shame. He was a bit slow. No. He was absolutely pulling the slow flex. When it's time for him to get up there and show off, he goes... I'm sorry. He's Mr. Punchable Face, but I laughed. That was good. All right, Makwan, you got me with the slow flex. Jack Shore, on the other hand, first time at 145, new weight class for him here in the UFC, and his mouth was hanging open. His eyes looked sunk in. He barely was able to get his arms up for a flex. He had a soft body up there. Like, he looked terrible. Jack Shore looked awful at weigh-ins today. I'm like, this guy is going to go full Anthony Rumble Johnson on us where he misses, he's got a bad weight cut, forces him to leave a division, moves up, gets 10 extra pounds, and still has a shitty weight cut. Like, that's exactly what I remember. That's what this fight feels like to me. But then when we get to weigh-ins, I'm ready to bet Makwan Amirkhani. I'm like, Jack Shore is fucked. He's got a bad weight cut that's going to mess with his cardio. He's moving up a weight class where his opponent is going to be larger than him. He's going to get bullied around. He's not going to be able to push his man around the way he did at 135 pounds. I looked at the numbers. I looked at the stats. I think Makwan Amirkhani is going to have a decent size advantage. They face off, and Jack Shore is a decent bit bigger than Makwan Amirkhani. I don't know if I got the numbers backwards. I don't know if the UFC site is just that far off. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I'm the one that's wrong.
Hey, Marshall! You ever get tired of being wrong? I do! I really do, but I'm tired!
Maybe it's me. But I thought Makwan Amirkhani was going to be the bigger man at 145 pounds. All of that desire to bet on Jack Shore just right out the window. I'm sorry, to bet on Makwan. Because like I said, he looked awful at the weigh-ins. I'm thinking you're undersized. You had a bad weight cut. You're going against a bigger, stronger primary grappler. Yeah, Makwan's cardio has never been great, but if he can body lock somebody and bully them around the cage for once, he probably lasts a little bit longer. That's probably not going to happen. I'm not trusting Jack Shore at minus 500. I'm sticking with my guns on that, but I do think this is a good live betting spot. I think that we bet on Jack Shore after he loses round one. Makwan comes out, guns blazing, nearly catches him in a submission, puts him in a bad spot, and then we get minus 125 going into round two, where we know Jack Shore is going to turn up the heat and be able to have better cardio going into the back half of the fight. That's the move. That's the move. Live bet Jack Shore. All right. Moving on to the next fight. Everybody, if you're rocking with me here, we got 86 live viewers already. Hit the like button for me. Show some love. Let the YouTube algorithm know you guys enjoy the show. And let's get going. The reason I didn't pull the tinfoil hat out for that one was because I had to put it away since I'm not betting on Makwan Amirkhani anymore. Roman Dolidze, 186 pounds, taking on Marvin Vettori, 185 and a half. No issues whatsoever for Roman. Big, menacing bear grin. Like this guy, he looks so cuddly. He looks so friendly, like a guy you could just kind of hang out with and chill and watch a movie afterwards. But then he gets in the cage and he rips people's knees apart. It's vicious and brutal. I love it. Marvin Vettori, on the other hand, he hit us with the smolder. He's up there looking good, feeling himself today. Gave a big old flex. I love this guy. Dolidze still has the size advantage. I thought Marvin would probably go eye to eye, toe to toe with him, but Dolidze is such a giant man. He actually still has the size advantage over Marvin Vettori, but Marvin got right in his face. I love, again, that obnoxious, untouchable self-belief. Marvin Vettori's got that. Like, he just knows he's going to be champion one day, and he treats everybody he fights like that. Now, he moved out to Tiger Muay Thai. So he's working on some of his Muay Thai skills. He worked with Extreme Couture coming into this fight a bit. He's training at the UFC PI. Like, if there's ever a moment in his life where Marvin Vettori is going to build some new skills and turn that corner, this is the one, man. And Roman Dolidze is a very popular underdog this week. And I get it. I said this on Monday. I'm going to say it again. If you've been winning on Roman Dolidze, run it back. Like, you've got no reason not to just keep betting this man until he loses. You are free rolling at plus 200 numbers for him 3 fights in a row. Like, just keep on betting Roman Dolidze. But if you haven't been betting Roman Dolidze, don't jump on the train now. This is the fight where I think he gets derailed. I was too scared to back Jack Hermansson last fight. I said, you don't want to step in front of Roman Dolidze. Verbatim. Like, I'll go find the clip. I said, do not bet. You don't want to step in front of Roman Dolidze on this heater that he's on right now. Sure enough, pulls something crazy out of his ass, ties him up and TKOs him. Different story. I think Marvin Vettori is better than Jack Hermansson. I think Marvin Vettori won't make the same mistakes on the ground as Jack Hermansson. I think Marvin Vettori might be physically stronger than Jack Hermansson. And I think his boxing is just so crisp and clean on the feet. He can't bust a grape. He's got no power whatsoever. But I think he can outpoint Roman Dolidze on the feet. And if he just wants to avoid the ground, like, Roman's not much of a wrestler. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He pulls ankles. He pulls for ankle locks. He pulls guard. He wants you to take him down. Believe it or not, Vettori may just never take this man down and might, like, jab and piece him apart on the feet for a full 15 minutes. I think it's Marvin Vettori by decision. You can get that at like minus 135. Let me check what Superbook Sports is actually offering on that number right now, because we can get some insight in there to the pricing. Yeah, minus 121 on Vettori by decision here on Superbook Sports, and I really don't mind that look. I think that happens that way more than not. Now, because of the gas tank difference here, if Marvin is a young, improving fighter and has added some new wrinkles to his game, and Dolidze does slow down and tire out, which he's been known to do, maybe you get a late finish. Maybe you get a round 3 sprinkle from Marvin Vettori, a TKO, something like that. I think more often than not, it's a decision. But I'm still trying to figure out how to bet this one. The only reason I haven't bet Marvin by decision is because I think that round 3 is possible. And I don't want to get caught with my pants down when this guy finally finds the first finish of his career, when you never thought he would finish that guy of all people, because that's just what seems to happen in MMA. Is the one thing you're expecting not to happen is the one thing that actually happens. Shout out to everybody who jumped in. I see you there, Wades. What's up, Joe? Hope everybody's doing well. Good luck on your bets there tomorrow, everybody. We're getting down to the final couple fights here on this card. Before we move on, one little note here. I'm going to bet Marvin Vettori to be the champion by the end of the year. Straight up doing it. They don't have that market right now at Superbook Sports. They closed it down going into the fights here, but there's a couple books out there that still have it opened up, and you can get Marvin Vettori to be champ by the end of the year at 50-1. 50-1. I just talked about this with my guy Andrew over at Superbook Sports. The guys ahead of him in line, according to the book anyway, are Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Dricus Duplessis, and Roman Dolidze. I don't think any of those guys get a title shot before Marvin, especially if he wins on Saturday. Now, obviously, Roman doesn't because he got derailed. He gets beaten. Marvin takes his place in line. Dricus doesn't have a good argument for it. Yes, he just got a win. It wasn't all that impressive. He's a gas bag. I think he needs 1 or 2 more fights before he gets there. Brendan Allen looked good in his last fight as well. He did look pretty solid, but he's another up and down, we're not sure guy right now. He's not going to get there first. And then you've got Bo Nickel, who's nowhere near a title. People thought he was going to be champ by the end of the year, but he obviously needs work in his striking. It's going to take him a year or two. Robert Whittaker, that's the one that's got me concerned because old Rob might get that crack at the title before Marvin does. He's more deserving, I'll be honest, and he just beat Vettori, so like he could very much make the argument. Khamzat, but I think he's going back to 170 is what he said. So I think there's a chance that we can kind of skirt around the Khamzat Chimaev train here. And then obviously it's Alex and Izzy at the top, and they're fighting in 2 weeks. So I've got one hurdle. If Marvin beats Roman Dolidze on Saturday, it's Vettori, Whittaker, and we'll see if Chimaev wants a shot at 185. Like, and you got 50-1 on it? That's sprinkle. I'm sprinkling. Let's get a little taste of that for Marvin Vettori, and we'll cheer for the Italian dream here on Saturday. All right, next fight. Jennifer Maia taking on Casey O'Neill. Both ladies made 125 pounds. Intense flex from Jennifer Maia. Like, she's up there looking like she's ready to eat somebody's baby. Casey O'Neill, calm, confident, relaxed, very steady, almost soulless up there. It seems like maybe she got a little too high on herself and she's like walking it back this time, that she's like, I'm just not going to say a word. I'm just not going to say it. There's not a peep coming out of me leading up to this fight because she kind of sold herself a little too much and then went life and death with Roxanne Modafferi. Maybe a good approach. This was a good stare down. Maia stepped in slightly shorter than Casey O'Neill, just ever so slightly. And I'm just stumped on this fight. I really am, because I think Casey O'Neill is going to win. I'm very much in the train of thought with everybody else that thinks she's legit. She's at a great gym. She's going to be improving. She's got the athleticism advantage here. But Jennifer Maia has all the back class. She's a BJJ black belt. She's fought a much higher caliber competition fighter. I just don't like how she never uses her wrestling. And I'm not a fan of how she really can only work in boxing range. And the athleticism really is what makes the difference here for me. I think Jennifer Maia is very live in this spot. This could be a very close fight. A lot of people counting her out. And I think she's going to be fighting for your money if you take a shot on the dog in Jennifer Maia. But at the end of the day, I really just think that Casey O'Neill is going to find a way to win. That's kind of the public side in opinion. It's been hand over fist money, according to my guy, Andrew, on Casey O'Neill. The line is, however, moved the other way, because the sharp action is coming in on Jennifer Maia. That reverse line movement terrifies me, so I do not want to go with Casey O'Neill in this spot. And yeah, right there, my guy Keg chiming in with Maia plus 3.5 at plus 150. For those of you who don't play those, and I generally don't either, that's plus 3.5, I believe, if it goes to a decision, essentially meaning she has to get 3-0'd by Casey O'Neill to lose the fight. If she just wins one round and it goes to a decision, that's a winning bet at plus 150. So that's a hell of a find. If you guys can play that round bet from Keg, that's definitely the way that you want to look at this one, because I do think it's going 15 minutes. I mean, maybe Casey's made such crazy strides that she can finish Jennifer Maia. You got to show me that. You got to prove that to me, though. I think this thing's going 15. I would be looking at Casey O'Neill by decision at plus 125 myself, but that plus 3.5 is very intriguing. Next up, Brian Barberena taking on Gunny Nelson. Barb made 171. Gunner made 170 on the dot. Barberena, classic Barb, no issues. Not an impressive body type up on the scale, showing off his nicely painted fingernails. I think his kids do that. As a dad myself, gotta love it. Gunnar Nelson, love the stash. I'm jealous. I wish I could grow a mustache like Gunnar Nelson. My little prickly facial hair wants to grow up to be Gunnar Nelson's mustache. He looked great on the scales today. This guy is always just insane shape. He's another Viking type, right? Like, he just makes you think he needs a plate helmet with horns sticking out of it. Slight size advantage goes to Barberena. that's just another concerning piece of the puzzle here. I mean, I think Barb is maybe just at the end of his run here. Gunnar Nelson should be able to take Barb down at will and choke him out. I don't see why he can't do that. However, Barberena just has a habit of showing up at the worst time possible. And when you count him out the most, that's when he decides he's going to have the best performance of his career. He keeps talking about, hey, I can retire anytime I want, and then never does. So, like, I'm not sure if he's got one foot in the grave or if it's a negotiation tactic or if he just really doesn't give a fuck. I have no idea. So I don't know what I'm getting with either of these fighters. I don't want to lay minus 380 on Gunnar Nelson. I guess if you just think he wins, which frankly he should, you can use him as a parlay piece. Gunnar by sub at plus 105. It'd be nice to get plus money on his best path to victory because I do think he subs him. But I'd rather shop around and get inside the distance. The knockout isn't nearly as likely at plus 750. But if you can get like minus 110 on Gunnar Nelson inside the distance, I'll pay the 15 cents just in case. Just in case he gets a TKO. Just in case he lands a spinning heel kick or some shit. Like, I'd rather play Gunny inside the distance if I was going to bet it. The under 2.5 at minus 145 doesn't seem bad to me in this spot either, just because we've seen Gunnar bonked a couple of times before. I worry a little bit about his durability. Brian Barberena doesn't really have that one-hitter quitter power these days, so I'm not sure he's going to be the guy to get him out of there. But I also know that he's going to have the volume advantage because Gunnar Nelson, frankly, doesn't out-volume anybody. So if they're striking on the feet, you're going to have more punches coming at you than not. There's a chance you get hurt. There's a chance you get clipped. I don't like this fight. I don't like this fight at all. I've never been good at picking Gunnar Nelson fights. I'm not going to start now. I'm also very much still burned by him not getting the sub the last time out, so I'm not going to run it back with that. I'll pick Gunnar Nelson. I'll pick him by sub. I'm not going to bet the plus 105. Co-main event time, everybody. Rafael Fiziev. Oh, what's up? D, my guy in the house. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you showing up here. And Patrick from Addicted to Combat. Me and Patrick chopped it up this week over on his podcast. Make sure you check out the Addicted to Combat show. Patrick is an awesome dude, and it's always fun talking fights with him. He's got a great show. Rafael Fiziev taking on Justin the Highlight Gaethje, 156 pounds for both of these guys. Fiziev is absolutely jacked. This man is absolutely nuts in shape. No problem making weight. No box of shame. Big smile on his face. Justin Gaethje, on the other hand, did need the box of shame. He's like the 27th fighter on this card to need the box of shame. No real issues, though. Honestly, looked fine. Looked like classic Justin Gaethje. His body wasn't in any different shape. He's not more ripped up than usual. He still just kind of looks like Justin. What really got me on this one, though, is Justin is big. Like, I thought Fiziev was going to be very much toe-to-toe with this man. I thought they were the same size. But Justin's like 3 inches taller than he is. He's like a full half head. That's not how you say that. He's like a half head taller than Rafael Fiziev. And that puts some measure of doubt in my mind. Now, this fight opened up as a pick'em, like especially overseas. You know, you look at the non-United States market, and it was a pick'em price tag. They opened it up chalk on Rafael Fiziev over here on the United States side of things. He's minus 230 now. You can get plus 200 or plus 190 on Justin Gaethje. And I've been saying Fiziev all week, but I'm not laying minus 200 when this guy opened up at minus 110. I can't bring myself to do it. I do think that once again, we find ourselves in the changing of the guard. You've got a guy in Justin who's been hanging around the top forever. You know, since he made his UFC debut the last 4 or 5 years, all we've seen is Justin Gaethje, you know, that picture. He's taken a couple bad losses. He's taken a lot of damage. And now Rafael Fiziev is stepping in here, probably being the more technical fighter, but I worry about his size. He's younger. He's taken less damage. He trains out of Tiger Muay Thai. I love everything. Love it all. And just took out a champion deep in the 5th round in Rafael Dos Anjos. This is the guy. This is the guy. But I can't do it. Not at minus 240. I'm picking Rafael Fiziev to go ahead and get the win here. But Justin Gaethje at plus 200, like that's the kind of puncher's chance you really would like to see. The one thing I would be looking at potentially is the over 1.5. We've seen Justin Gaethje go deep into the 5th round before. We've seen Justin Gaethje knock people out like Tony Ferguson in round 5. We have seen him in back and forth wars with Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez. It's been in the 3rd and the 4th round. Unless he is nuking you, he's usually tougher to get out of there. Now, the guys that have that grappling advantage over him, Khabib and Charlie O, they were able to club and sub him. You know, hurt him on the feet, get him to the ground, tap him out. I don't think he has that kind of a grappling game. And even if he does have that kind of a grappling game, frankly, I don't think he's one to use it. He's another guy that I sincerely doubt has any interest in takedowns. So I think this thing gets into the second round. I think it gets into the third round. Frankly, I think we're going to see a decision in this fight. And I think Rafael Fiziev by decision at plus 250 would be the way that I would look at this fight, because I think Justin Gaethje will hang in there, especially being the bigger man. Rafael Fiziev is an incredible striker, but he also is no stranger to a decision. He's gone to a decision several times throughout the course of his career, and he's gotten people who he can set traps for and bomb on out of there earlier than that. This is a new level of opponent. And like even Brad Riddell, who's kind of on a skid and maybe retiring, he got him out of there deep into the third round. Justin Gaethje is a guy that can go a full hard 15 minutes. It kind of all comes down to how Justin Gaethje wants to approach this fight, because I know he's a whirlwind of knees and elbows and leg kicks in there. But if this is primarily a boxing game, if he slows down at all, if he uses his grappling even just a little bit, like I think we're getting over 1.5. You're going to be terrified. These guys are going to trade bombs, big power shots in the first round, but we tighten up our sphincter, and I think we get over 1.5. I don't know if I like minus 170. That's a pretty juicy price tag to get over 1.5 here, but I think this thing goes at least to the third round, personally. Haven't bet it yet. I will give you guys that clarity. Of course, if you want my final card, if you want to know exactly how much I have bet and what I'm betting on, I will post those on social media. The Maya line went from plus 150 to minus 227. Yeah, man, I don't know. You're getting better on the plus 3.5 than she had on her money line. Like, I don't know how. I don't know how that line was ever even up there. I'm sure you absolutely smoked that line. So apologies for anybody that wants to tail. But frankly, I still think it's probably an okay bet. It's just a little bit chalkier now than before. Main event time. We've got Leon Edwards taking on Kamaru Usman for the third time. Both guys made 170 pounds. I love this fight so very freaking much. Leon Edwards looked amazing. He's in great shape. And honestly, like, he was relaxed at the regular weigh-ins, but he was very animated. Dog's barking. Sorry about that, everybody. The wife's coming home. So he heard the garage, apparently, it sounds like. My bad. Hopefully you guys didn't have your ears bleeding from that like mine are. Link, shut up. So what we've got is he's very amped up at the ceremonials, though. Very amped up at the ceremonials. He's excited. He is pumped for this fight, man. And then you've got Kamaru Usman, who is bulging everywhere. My God. If I'm going to describe Kamaru Usman's body in one single word, it would be anabolic. Like, not hiding much there. He probably has the exact same complaints about USADA as Conor McGregor does. They seem to be knit from the same cloth, if you read me. Colby had a surprise weigh-in. He shows up as the backup for this championship fight here. And that shocked everybody. That absolutely shocked everybody. It was like the popular, celebrity star that rolls in for one episode of the TV show where everybody the crowd goes nuts on a sitcom. Colby shows up, weighs in. They're not going to need him. Poor Bilal could have been on this card with him, but that ain't happening. I'm frustrated with that. I want to see that fight. But man, these guys faced off. Usman's talking. Both guys are just dripping confidence right now. Like, Leon has the belt, knows he can knock this man out. Usman said he bullied him last fight the entire time, was seconds away from winning a decision. Like, these guys are both just ready to go, chomping at the bit. Now, between you and I, me and the 115 or so live viewers here keeping this a secret, somebody who I know that's a little closer to the situation than myself said that word on the street is that Usman's intention is to potentially fight Conor McGregor next if he gets his belt back and walk away. If he does not get the rematch or the fight with Conor McGregor, if he gets his belt back, he might just hang up the gloves. And that was music to my earlobes. I already have a bet on the underdog. I already am rocking with the champion, Rocky Edwards. I got plus 210. The line immediately dipped back down to plus 200. So just that incy bit of, line value. You love to pound your chest a little bit. I got the best line by 10 cents. I'll take it. I'm rocking with the dog here. I think it's disrespectful for the champion to be this big of an underdog, especially with the shift in mental states. Usman knowing he's human now, knowing he can be knocked out, coming around very quickly after being concussed and knocked out, solid cold. You'd think he'd take a little bit longer off after that kind of a KO. Of course, the deteriorating body of Usman has been a talking point for the last couple of years. I think it's finally catching up to him. And Leon now having the confidence to know on his worst night, he can still find a way to win. I think those factors make this a much closer fight than people are giving it credit for. And Usman made some mistakes in the last fight, which is something we don't see him normally do. And if he can make mistakes last time, he can make mistakes again this time. So if Usman has it in his head that if he gets the belt back, it's Conor or bust, he's going to hang it up. He's going to actually retire and go make more movies. Folks, that's the R word. That's the R word. I've talked about it time and time again. If you are ready to call it quits, if you're ready to hang it up, if your run is at its end, you don't fight the way you used to. You don't train the way you used to. It's not a thing that happens. I think we're going to see Leon Edwards defend his title. The number's not quite as good as last time, but honestly, I think it's going to be more emphatic. I think he's going to prove that he's the champion in this fight and solidify it, whether it's by another finish or honestly, even just winning like a 3-2 type of decision where it's a little bit more emphatic that he can win this fight over the course of 25 minutes. I think Leon Edwards is going to get it done. I've got a bet on Leon 1 unit at plus 210. He's plus 200 out there right now. And my guy, I got to shout out today's guest or this week's guest, Lucrative MMA, my guy James. He threw out the hot take of Leon Edwards by sub. We knocked him out last time. Maybe he subs him this time, especially if we end up on the ground a whole lot more for this fight. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it one bit. He got 20-1, and you can find that number out there at some other books. But what they've got at Superbook Sports is 16-1. And I've noticed, this is just a little thing that I've noticed on Superbook, is that when you've got a prop like that, which you can justify, so like it's semi-realistic, it's not just insane talk, but nobody thinks that shit's going to happen. Superbook Sports is pretty freaking sharp about it. That number's worse at Superbook Sports than it is at other books. We talked about it with the Bo Nichols submission prop. Everywhere was hanging like a minus 130, minus 140. They had it minus 200 over here. They're like, no, we know he's going to sub this guy. So they make you pay for it. It's a sharp book. They don't give you great numbers, especially on stuff that is realistic. And that difference of 20-1 to 16-1, that kind of got me raising my eye just a little bit. I'm taking a look at that sub prop. My guy James called it. I kind of like it. 20-1 and still by sub round 2. Let's go, Leon Edwards. All right, everybody. That is the Undefeated post weigh-in show. Thank you all so much for being here with me and joining me. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. I will be posting my final card this evening, probably because the fights are AM tomorrow morning. We're doing mimosas and waffles. It's in London, so they're going to be bright and early. Usually I wake up, I get my caffeine in me, I put my final bets together and tweet it out. But if I do that, it's going to be too late because the fights will have started already. So I'm probably going to get that final card put together here tonight before bedtime. I hope you guys all kick ass. We're going to pile up bags of money this weekend here at this UFC card. Be careful. I hope you don't step on any landmines. May the parlay buster not be on your parlay ticket. And I hope you're destroying college basketball. Good luck on all the degenerate action. And by the way, we've been on one hell of a run in the NHL degenerate action. If you're following me on Twitter, we've been crushing it this week. So hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe. Hope you get all the winners. And I don't know why I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I can't find an end to all the hopes and dreams here. I love you guys. We'll see you next week. Let's roll.